Hi guys, Mark Singleton here. This week's discussion board and my topic is going to be on the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And when you do any research on the AME Church, you realize very quickly that it's very unique and has a very colorful history. And I use the word unique in the fact that it was the first major religious denomination in the Western world that had its origin over sociological and theological beliefs and differences. It rejected this idea and had disputed these theological interpretations which rendered persons of African descent as being second-class citizens. The AME theological declaration was that God is God all the time. He's God for everybody. So this church, in essence, was born in protest against slavery, against the dehumanization of African people brought to this continent as slave labor. Now, the AME Church grew out of the Free African Society led by a gentleman by the name of Richard Allen and Absalom Jones. And it was established in 1787. But what really took place, the linchpin for the founding of this church took place when white worshipers at St. George's Methodist Episcopal Church pulled blacks off their knees while praying. And the Free African Society, as it was known, led by Mr. Allen and Mr. Jones, discovered just how far American Methodists would go to enforce racial discrimination against African Americans. Hence, these members of St. George's made plans to transform their mutual aid society into an African congregation. And Allen led this group, and he even had some who wanted to remain Methodist, but by 1794, Bethel AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal Church, was founded with Allen as pastor. And of significance here with Mr. Allen is the fact that he was an escaped or a freed former Delaware slave who had successfully sued twice in Pennsylvania courts in 1807 and 1815 for the right of his congregation to exist as an independent institution. Because black Methodists and other Middle Atlantic communities encountered racism and desired religious autonomy as well, Allen said, hey, let's meet in Philadelphia and we'll form this new group called the Wesleyan denomination, hence the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Now, prior to the Civil War, the AME Church was pretty much limited up to the Northeast and the Midwest. You're talking about Chicago, Boston, Cincinnati. But after, well, one point, and that is, remarkably, even in South Carolina, you had small congregations and in other slave states of the AME Church. But the most significant period of the growth and development of this church occurred during Reconstruction and with the permission of the Union Army. You had this church spread like wildfire across South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas, and many other parts of the South. And you had a great minister by the name of Theophilus G. Stewart, who preached a sermon called I Seek My Brethren. It was often repeated in his sermons, and he grew this membership to almost 400,000 people below the Mason-Dixon line. And when Bishop Henry M. Turner pushed African Methodism across the Atlantic into Liberia and Sierra Leone in 1891 and into South Africa in 1896, the AME Church now laid claim to adherence on two continents. Now, when it comes to doctrine, doctrinally, it's Methodist. The clergy, the scholars, and laypersons have written important works which demonstrate the distinctive theology and practice which has defined this Wesleyan body. The World's Fair in 1893, the World Parliament of Religions reminded the audience of the presence of blacks in the formation of Christianity. And in 1895, he wrote a book, The Color of Solomon, ? What? Saying that biblical scholars portrayed the son of David as a white man. In the post-civil rights era, theologian James Cone, Cecil Cone, who came out of the AME, critiqued Eurocentric Christianity and African-American churches for their shortcomings in fully impacting the plight of those oppressed by racism, sexism, and economic disadvantage. The AME Church is grown, it is significant, and it is alive and well today.